Did you come under any really bad what chants?
My first night on Raw, I got drafted over to Raw. I come out, I open the show with a promo. And it was, I believe it was right after Vince had blown himself up in the limousine, right? So I was talking
Yeah.
about Mr. McMahon was a father to me, and this and that. And they started the what thing, and Vince had just Vince had just that week said, I don't want you guys acknowledging the crowd anymore, which was, well, excuse me. He was like, I don't want you. I want you to pretend like they're not even there. Which goes against all of your training, all of your experiences, whatever. And so I went out there and they started doing the what thing. And I was like, don't start with that what crap, which makes them do it more, right? Like, and I went back and I remember walking through and I actually I remember thinking that was my first night on Raw. All right, I'm kind of like strutting up the ramp, and I walk through the curtain. And when you've done well, man, you come through that curtain, people are like giving you the thumbs up, pat on the back. When it's not gone well, everybody's like. Trying to get busy doing something. And I came through and it was like that. And I was like,
oh no.
Yeah. And Vince goes, that was the worst fucking promo I've ever heard in my life.
Oh no.
And I was like, what? And then I was like, what didn't you like about it? You're out there chewing your fucking gum. And you knew damn well when you said when you told them to shut up that they were gonna come harder. And I was like, yes, I did. Like I'm sorry. That was that was what in the moment. That's what I thought. And he goes, well, you need to think differently, pal. He goes, your first night on Raw, you shit the bed. I remember telling that to Steve Austin, because Steve and I talked pretty regularly at the time, and I remember I was at home and we were chatting, and I told him that. He was like, he said you shit the bed.
God, how did that make you feel? Like Vince McMahon is Vince McMahon.
It was frustrating. It was super frustrating at the time because I was trying to figure out. He was doing that to me a lot. And he was always like, you're too over the top. You're too, and basically all the stuff that got me to the dance in the first place, he was now telling me not to do that. And I just could not wrap my head around it. Looking back on it, I totally get it. And I get what he meant. And honestly, it's cringy to watch myself sometimes because I'm so over the top and so Jim Carrey and, but at the time, that was me. That was my character. That was what I had developed. And I remember having discussions. I had one particular discussion with Jericho one time. And I was like, I don't know what to do, man. Every time I go through the curtain and I immediately look to him, which I fucking hate that I do that. I don't want to be the guy that's looking, can I get a pat on the back, boss? Did I do a good job tonight? But that's ultimately what you're after. And I remember he said, hey, he goes, I know it's frustrating. He goes, but just know that he obviously cares. He sees something in you, or he wouldn't fucking care at all. He wouldn't say anything. You would come to the curtain and he would go. And then, so that made me feel somewhat good. He was like, he's trying to break you down so that he can build you up. It was kind of like boot camp. They break you down so that they can build you up in their own image or whatever.
What's the greatest piece of, what's the word I'm looking for? What was the nicest experience you ever had with Vince when you'd done something great and he came to you and really...
I mean, the first night that when I debuted, I came through the curtain and he was like, I was great. And it was a velocity match, which Vince never somebody had told him, Steve Lombardi had told him, because I did a promo with Lombardi earlier in the day, and I cut this promo. I remember somebody said like, "Hey, you need to go see Steve Lombardi, Brooklyn Brawler, and he needs to do it. He wants you to cut a promo." So I went into him, and he was like, maybe you do this, and he was like giving me, some, maybe you say something like this, and he would like spit out some lines, and I would go, okay, and I would be chewing on that in my head, and then he would go, or maybe this, and he would say something else, and it was kind of fucking with my head because I just almost get something solidified, and then he would change it, and I just said like, I think I got it, I'm good, can we do it? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And I did it, and he was like, that was really good, I liked it. He goes, I'm gonna go tell Vince you're ready. Seriously, he goes, I'm gonna go tell him, like, that was really good. And he did. He went and said something to Vince, and I think that's ultimately what caused that match to go from being just a dark match to being a televised match, was that conversation that he had with Brawler. So I thank Steve Lombardi, from the bottom of my heart. But that was when I came back through that curtain that night. He was like, boom. And then moving forward, I remember Vince saying to me, I want you to start hanging out with me. He goes, I don't want you to kiss my ass. But he goes, I want to get to know you a little better. I want you to know the business side of things. I want you to know why we do what we do. And personally, like, I always thought, I was always more concerned about like perception. I was like, I'm going to be looked at as like the kiss ass. I don't want to do that. And I just never really did it.
Oh no! So so Vince gave you an open gate.
Yep.
And you never went through it.
Yep.
Oh man, I would have just done that just purely for the banter. Watch him eating his clean meat with his fork because he's too scared to touch it with his hands. I've watched a lot of wrestling podcasts.
Steaks with ketchup.
What? Yeah, bad steak.
Yep.
Damn.